Radio is an intimate storytelling medium, and when it bonds with one of the finest storytellers of our times, the result is sheer magic. During these times of social distancing, All India Radio hopes to bring you some comfort, some connection, with an exclusive story reading series, Bonding over the Radio. Coming up is the pick of the day, voiced by the author Ruskin Bond himself.
This is a short selection of Hill Station Ghosts. A company of ghosts. A morgue is not a noisy place as a rule, and for a morgue attendant, corpses are silent companions. Old Mr. Jacob, who lives just behind my cottage, was once a morgue attendant for the local mission hospital. In those days, it was situated at Sunnybank, about 100 meters up the hill from here. One of the outhouses served as the morgue. Mr. Jacob begs me not to identify it. He tells me of a terrifying experience he went through when he was doing night duty at the morgue. The body of a young man was found floating in the Ugla River behind Landor and was brought to the morgue while I was on night duty, he tells me. It was placed on the table and covered with a sheet. I was quite accustomed to seeing corpses of various kinds and did not mind sharing the same room with them, even after dark. On this occasion, a friend had promised to join me. And to pass the time, I strolled around the room whistling a popular tune. I think it was Danny Boy, if I remember right. My friend was a long time coming, and I soon got tired of whistling and sat down on the bench beside the table. The night was very still, and I began to feel uneasy. My thoughts went to the boy who had drowned, and I wondered what he had been like when he was alive. Dead bodies are so impersonal. The morgue had no electricity, just a kerosene lamp, and after some time I noticed that the flame was very low. As I was about to turn it up, it suddenly went out. I lit the lamp again after extending the wick. Then I returned to the bench, but I had not been sitting there for long when the lamp again went out and something moved very softly and quietly past me. I felt quite sick and faint and could hear my heart pounding away. The strength had gone out of my legs, otherwise I would have fled from the room. I felt quite weak and helpless, unable even to call out. Presently, the footsteps came nearer and nearer. Something cold and icy touched one of my hands and felt its way up towards my neck and throat. It was behind me. Then it was before me. Then it was over me. I was in the arms of the corpse. I must have fainted, because when I woke up, I was on the floor and my friend was trying to revive me. The corpse was back on the table. Well, after listening to his story, I said, "It may have been a nightmare, or you allowed your imagination to run riot." "No, sir," said Mr. Jacobs. There were wet, slimy marks on my clothes, and the feet of the corpse matched the wet footsteps on the floor. After this experience, Mr. Jacobs refused to do any more night duty at the morgue. I'm reminded of a story old Miss Kellner of my Dehradun days told me of a young man who was desperately in love with a girl who did not care for him. One day, when he was following her in the street, as he was wont to do, she turned on him and, pointing to a rat which some boys had just killed, she said, "I'd as soon marry that rat as marry you." He took her cruel words so much to heart that he pined away and died. After his death, the girl was haunted at night by a rat, and occasionally she would be bitten. When the family decided to emigrate, they traveled down to Bombay in order to embark on a ship sailing for London. The ship had just left the quay when shouts and screams were heard from the pier. The crowd scattered, and a huge rat with fiery eyes ran down to the end of the quay. It sat there, screaming with rage, then jumped into the water and disappeared. After that, according to Miss Kellner, the girl was not haunted again. Jakarta is a security zone now, most of it off limits to tourists, which is one reason why it has remained unchanged in the 150 years of its existence. Courtesy a government official, I was fortunate enough to be able to stay in the Forest Rest House on the outskirts of the town. This is a new building, the old rest house, a little way downhill, having fallen into disuse. The chowkidar told me the old rest house was haunted, and that this was the real reason for its having been abandoned. I was a bit skeptical about this, and asked him what kind of haunting took place in it. He told me that he had himself gone through a frightening experience in the old house, when he had gone there to light a fire for some forest officers who were expected that night. After lighting the fire, he had looked round and seen a large animal, like a wild cat, sitting on the wooden floor and gazing into the fire. I called out to it, thinking that it was someone's pet. The creature turned and looked full at me with eyes that were human, and a face which was the face of an ugly woman. The creature snarled at me, and the snarl became an angry howl. Then it vanished. "And what did you do?" I asked. "I vanished too," said the chowkidar. "I haven't been in that house again." I did not volunteer to sleep in that old house, but made myself comfortable in the new one, where I hoped I would not be troubled by any phantom. However, a large rat did keep me company, gnawing away at the woodwork of a chest of drawers. Whenever I switched on the light, it would be silent, but as soon as the light was off, it would start gnawing away again. Well, yeah, kids usually enjoy having a bit of a scare.
It's a delicious scare, maybe.
It's a safe fear, you see. You feel at the back of your head it's not really happening. Huh?
Iman Meher Sharma Merchant from Mumbai.
Right.
And she's saying, I have read a lot of your stories and I really enjoy Mr. Oliver's diary and Monkey Trouble.
Right.
The way Mr. Oliver writes in his diary is very entertaining. And I love Tutu the monkey's cake recipe in Monkey Trouble.
Right.
I hope to meet you someday to show you the stories I write.
Thank you so much. Monkey Trouble is a bit long for this program, but I'd try to give a shorter version later. Otherwise, I can always do another Mr. Oliver story for you before the series ends. Huh? And glad you liked the book of Oliver stories. Thank you. Yes.
This is coming all the way from West Virginia.
Oh, my goodness, how nice.
Angela Taylor Westfall writes from Fairmont. Tuning in from Fairmont, West Virginia. Thank you for such a lovely program. Bonding over the radio has become an enjoyable part of my day. As a new fan, I am planning my escape to a quiet place with my Kindle to explore more writings by Ruskin Bond.
Oh, that's good. Great.
A lot of people are writing about the blue umbrella, sir.
Yes.
Here is Priyanshu, 9 years old from Bangalore, who says that my father is also your fan.
That's nice to know.
And I look forward to meeting you someday. Can you please read the story, The Blue Umbrella? Then there is Adrija Bhattacharjee, who's 13,
Yes,
and she's saying that she also became a fan after she read The Blue Umbrella.
I see.
And she says, Sir, did you really have a Khansama like Mehmood? And did he really have these adventures while working with Jim Corbett, which you told in the story Tigers for Dinner?
Well, Blue Umbrella, of course, is probably my most popular children's storybook. The whole story is a bit long to read, but maybe I could read an extract sometime. And as for Mahmood, the cook who used to be with Jim Corbett, okay, tomorrow I'll read a bit from Tigers for Dinner. Mahmood was a great Gapori and made up a lot of stories, so I can't guarantee they were true. But I'll read out one or two of them tomorrow.
Wasn't Blue Umbrella made into a film by Vishal Bhardwaj?
Yes, it was a few years ago. He made a lovely film based on the story. There was a little schoolgirl who acted in it. It was the only film she'd been in. And also a well-known character actor, Pankaj Kapoor. Right? He played one of the main roles. So it was an entertaining film, and he was very true to the story. The story was actually published also in the USA as Binya's Blue Umbrella.
Then there's Delia Das,
Yes.
who says that she started reading at an early age your writing, which has been an integral part of her life, providing both comfort and inspiration to cherish life's simple joys. He remains my favorite author to this date. Now in my 30s, I live and work in Canada, on the east coast near the Atlantic Ocean, a different kind of beauty than our hills in Mussoorie, but just as calm and refreshing. And she has installed the Prasar Bharati app and put an alarm on her phone just to listen to you online. And so far, she has not missed a single episode.
Oh, so that's good to know that I have a friend and listener out there. And, well, what we do have in common is probably cold weather, because I guess the east coast of Canada would still be chilly, and as Mussoorie is still chilly. And sometimes I feel like going down to the warmth of the plains, and you'll be missing the India you grew up in.
That's what she says, that thank you, sir, for providing the all-familiar comfort through your stories and voice in these troubling times.
Oh, thank you. I hope you'll have a wonderful life.
Then there is Sonal Jain. She's from Agra. Ruskin sir has been my favorite since childhood, and I've read many of his stories, and now listening to them in his voice feels just great. During my post-graduation in 2014, I wrote my dissertation on the topic, Analyzing Needs and Motives, a study of Ruskin Bond's characters in the light of Maslow's need hierarchy theory.
Gosh.
She hopes to meet you soon and plan to find out new dimensions of his work during my PhD. I would like to ask, sir, how do you feel about many young scholars who write their theses on you and your work?
Well, hope it helps them to get their PhDs. There have been a few, but not too many, I think. But I get a little overawed sometimes when I see somebody's PhD as a big, thick, bound volume, with all sorts of, intelligent criticism or appreciations of my very simple stories. Thank you, but thank you all the same.
That was storyteller par excellence, Ruskin Bond, reading his hand-picked story of the day in our exclusive series, Bonding Over the Radio. A presentation of the Central English Features Unit. This came to you from the External Services Division of All India Radio.